Okay, Jesse, here's your radio. So I got your email. I guess you're a little confused about the channel with the software. So right now the radio's in stock. You just get 40 channels per bank. So it doesn't matter A, B, C, D, E, F, which one. You only get up to 40. So, like in band F, which is the highest band, it ends at 28.305. Actually, you could go maybe a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, you can go to 315, I think, because it'll allow you to do the 10 KC. But anyways, what I do is the software will allow you to go to 60, so you can put this up to 28.505 at its max frequency. And I can send you the software if you ever want to change anything. You just need to get yourself a programming cable, which right now I don't have. I will have some available later. I think I only am getting 20 of these in. They do have a slight change to the there's one change that they told me that they made to the newest one that are coming out later in the fall, so I don't exactly know what that change will be, but I'm sure they'll reiterate more of that when the time's closer to getting them. So it's not a major change or anything like that, so if you don't have the newest one, it's not going to be a make or break thing or anything like that. But so yeah, I'll implement up to 60. It'll count 41 through 60. I don't do anything to band E. That'll just be like 41 to 855. Band B, I just make it easier. I put that up to 60, so it'll read 60. It'll go to 27605. And then down on band A, so 41 through 60 will be 12 meter, and you know, you use it or not use it, but I just put that in there because it's in my software save file, so it's going to get loaded in like that. So if you decide to use it, great. If you don't, you know, chances are you're never going to use anything down here anyways if you don't have an antenna good for 12 meter. But if you ever want to listen or something, you know, when the band is open, you'll have the option. So band B stays the same, band C stays the same. So two changes are band D, instead of ending at 27405, it'll end at 27605, and then band E stays the same. The biggest difference on band F, instead of ending at 28.305, it'll now end at 28.505. Another change is SWR, instead of how you have it, where it's reading the little bar there, it will actually take the frequency readout off when you press the PTT and give you an SWR reading on the display. It'll say like 1 whatever. Well, hopefully it'll say that, but in this situation it will. So, but other than that, the radio seems to be working like it should. It's right on frequency, just like they all are. Low power right now is at about 2.4 watts, somewhere in there. So 5 watt on that size, it's about 2.4 watts. And then I think high power is probably more than 10. Put a 10 on that side just to see. Yeah, it's more than 10, so I'll set that. More than likely I'm going to set it to 8 or 10, somewhere in there. It doesn't make a huge difference, but 8 is probably better than 10. But I'll see how the radio performs at both. A lot of times I just send them out at 10, but I've been considering doing 8 just because it's a little less. And if you're going to talk barefoot, I would run it all the way up, of course. So let's see what it's doing for power. It's with the factory mic. When I checked this before, I thought that maybe somebody might have adjusted it. So all the way up. Check our mic gain. That's all the way up. So it's just a standard mic that comes with it. Now this is one off of a CRT. It's the same mic. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, hello. So it's showing about 56 to 58 watts, which is, you know, it's pretty good for what it is. It's probably a higher dead key. About 12 watts up, which is kind of high. I don't like to see that, but that's how they come, so it kind of is what it is there. I'll power all the way down. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, hello, hello. So, you know, the amplitude of your voice is considerably going to change with every single word that you say. So, you know, in these low power settings, it's better to put a tone in there to see what you're actually doing for power. And that's real power anyways. With the tone, your voice is going to hit higher amplitudes and peaks, and what a tone is more of a constant reference of what the radio is actually doing for power, at least in what I believe in. So that's that. SSB all the way down. I think it's really low. Put that back in 5. That's SSB all the way down right there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's about 4 to 4.5 watts or so, which is perfectly fine because you can dial it up wherever you want and turn it to the 100-watt side. So if we want to turn our power up, we just turn the dial, and then, you know, it can go up. So about right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, hello. So everything seems to work. Let me go to a different frequency, one that is not being used. One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Yep, it's right on frequency on sideband. I'm just listening to it through my icon here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Check, check. 1, 2. So it's working good. I'll show you a couple tests here. I thought when I checked this before, it looked like somebody might have been into the low AM modulation setting. I can't remember, but I'll show you that in a second here. So first I'm going to do the dual tone for sideband. These are generally turned up too much from the factory, so you see sort of a distorted pattern a little bit. So there we have it. It's about 44.5 with the tone. Good scanners going off and some garbage. So it's not horrible, but it can be a little bit better. So that's the high power. Here's the low power. Of course, it's going to decrease significantly here. You know, a little under, but it's not terrible. I've seen a lot worse. I don't know, maybe somebody may have adjusted it for you or something. I really don't know, because you didn't get this one for me. This isn't one that I sold, so I don't really know in that situation. I think this one came from Europe, most likely. I know there was another guy that was selling them here in the US, but he was not buying them direct from the manufacturer like I was, so he was buying them from a European reseller, dealer, and then reselling them. So I'm assuming that's the situation, because they were only selling them to me to sell, and I only sold like 20 of them. They only have so many to sell because the European dealers come first. So Alright, let's look at AM here. It's going to be high power. I'm sure this is low power. So it does look like someone adjusted it slightly. So it's doing about 10, a little over 10 watts with the tone, which is about right, since it's about 2 and 2.4 watts of dead key, so it's not bad. So that's low power. It's high power. It looks like someone already adjusted it. It looks pretty good there too. It's about 46 watts with the tone, which is about right. So yeah, I think it's, you know, it's working pretty good. Believe me, I've seen a lot worse. Not really on these, because there really hasn't been too many people except me selling them, so when I send them out, you know, they generally never come back or anything like that. So, but I have seen some of the Quad 5 Pluses, they're calling them, which is a similar radio. It doesn't have the noise reduction, and they've been pretty nasty. People go in and crank everything up, and the service part doesn't help you at all. But kind of what happens. So I'm going to put the software on this, and we'll go from there. I'm going to turn my computer on. I don't know what mic you use with it, but hopefully whatever mic you are using, if it's not the standard, if it's something else, hopefully somebody made you aware that, you know, when you look at your mic plug, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 on there. Just make sure you don't have anything connected on 4, which in this situation would be right here. The only mic that you can have something connected on 4, actually 4 is over here, is the factory mic. So any other mic, it doesn't matter what it is, just make sure there's nothing on number 4, and that's the wire coming out of the cord into the solder onto the jack. Just make sure there's nothing there, and that's only to protect the radio. So if you have something connected there, this is going to get extremely hot, because you are, you know, the radio's not designed for other mics to have that wire connected, so it's going to create a lot of heat here. So, and I was told by the manufacturer that it can actually short something in the radio, damage the radio, and you just don't want that. So I always tell everybody on any of these kind of radios, it doesn't matter which style, they all have a similar chassis, always remove the wire off pin 4 on your mic. So I recommend these mics, but again, everybody has a certain preference on mic. These work really good. You have to put the radio in the elect track function in the menu. Now again, I'm assuming you're going to be running some type of amp from what you're saying, so I don't really like amps, especially ones for CB. I'm not against them, but I just don't think they work very well for, you know, cleanliness on the spectrum. So they're really not friendly for that. You can have the cleanest radio you want going in, but what comes out is definitely nasty. So that's just my personal opinion. I don't generally give advice on amps or anything, so, you know, I know a lot of guys try to run amps, and then they run like the KPO mic, which works really good, and then they run into feedback problems and a lot of issues. But the problem is, it's more what they have going on than what, you know, the products are good, but the amps are causing a lot of issues, especially in vehicles and stuff. So, but I'm sure you're well aware of how to use amps and stuff, so I'm not going to go into that any more than I already did. So let's get this software going. I'll bring it up on the computer. I'll try to point the camera at the computer so we can take a look. So I run a couple 10 amp breakers connected to my power cords. Look, this is not the programming cable, this is one for my camcorder, sorry. Here it is. I need to bring the radio a little bit closer. And let's plug it in. Alright. So now I'm going to bring this up in a second here, and then we'll go to the computer screen. Take a look. Gotta find it. Here it is. Alright. I'm going to read from radio. Let me get this up here just a second. Hang on, I'm going to get this situated. Alright, so hopefully you can still hear me. The camera is up pointing at the television, which is using for the computer monitor, so we'll go to setup. Make sure I got the right communication port. Yep. So then we'll go to setup. Read from radio. So I'm just going to see what information's in your radio first. Alright, so here's your bands. If you notice, they stop at 40, but you can go all the way to 60. It doesn't matter which band. That's band A, B, C. Here's your standard CB channels. There's E, and there's F. So you can see where they all end. And that's that switch on the front, A, B, C, D, E, F. You can add 20 more frequencies. You can put whatever you want in any of them. It really doesn't matter. But so what I'll do is put 12 meter here. I think it's 10 frequencies. And then I'll put the 20 here to go from 415 to 605. And then I'll put 315 to 505 here. So that's that part. Options and features. That's good. Single change data is good. Otherwise, here you can select for every frequency which you don't want. So SWR protection, you basically have nothing from the factory. It's set at 10, so that'll switch to 2.0. I think the voltage should stay about the same. So I'm gonna save this in case you ever have a need to want it back, but you have the default, so I'm just gonna save this as default. What is this? DX5000 plus. Okay, so that's the default. Might as well have a default. So what I'll do now is I'll say load, open, and then this is my program right here, open. Alright, so now that's what I'm going to put into your radio. So I'm going to come down here. There you can see the 12 meter here starts at 88 and goes to 25. That's at the end of band A. Band B is the same. Band C is the same. Band D, now you used to stop here, now you have all the way from 415, like you said, to 605. So the display on the radio will read up to 60, and then you'll see the frequency readout also. So that's that. Band E is the same, and band F pretty much gives you the rest. And that'll give you from 315 to 505. That's your technician class voice. So, and then everything else starts there. So options and features. I normally shut PA and CW off. I'm going to switch that and just leave them on. That way all the features are on. Most customers don't ever use it, but in this situation, I'm just going to leave them on for you. All that happens is if you put the mode switch there, it just won't do anything. So now when you transmit, it's going to say SWR on the display. I did put a custom Roger beep in, and then SWR protect is 2. Minimum voltage I'll put back to 9. It's a really low voltage. You're probably not going to get the radio to work right at all if it was that low. And then max voltage is 15. I mean, with you running an amp and stuff, I really don't know. So, I mean, don't put more than, again, it goes back to the whole amplifier thing, which I really don't have a lot of interest in, but don't put more than like 14 some odd volts into this radio. You're going to damage the radio. It's not designed for that. So, I mean, if you're going to overvolt your amp, which I know is pretty common, a lot of guys do that to try to get a few more watts out, which means nothing in my opinion, but I'm going to set it to 9 and 16. Just keep in mind, if you overvolt this radio, you're probably going to damage it. So, but I don't want there to be an issue where you say, well, you set my max voltage too low, I'm trying to run a higher voltage into my amp, and now I can't, and stuff like that. So just keep in mind that, I don't recommend going over like 14 volts really. You start running over 14.5 volts, that's, anything like that, you're going to damage the radio more than likely. So just be careful with that. Everything else, the mic type is in EL. I'll put that back in dynamic. That way you can always switch that yourself in the menu. And then that's it really for that. Everything is good there. So that's it. I'm going to resave this file. This is going to be a new save file. Alright. So I'm going to send this to the radio. Right to radio, okay. So now we're overriding the default. Okay, so now we're done with the software, so we can just shut it down, and that's it. So now we'll come back to the radio just a second. Alright, so when you're done with the radio, it'll say end, and when it's uploading or downloading, it'll say PC, so you just turn it off, turn it back on. So there we go. So I'm going to shut this off. If you want to turn that back on, you can. But now when you TX, you're going to see your SWR on the screen. Like that. So I'm just going to shut this scanner right off. It's not working very well anyways. So there you go. Now if you're on sideband or something, let's just say you're on lower side and somebody wants you to switch frequencies, you can just turn the clarifier and you can see where it's going, and you can still do this if you want to make different steps. Like if you want to, you have to do it on the receive end first. When you transmit, if you just turn it, it'll start turning. So I don't think you'll probably run into that. Maybe if you're using this on 10 meter, you might need to adjust that if somebody's using like a weird offset when they're transmitting, but you know, you can see you can move in all kinds of different increments. So that's like the transmit side. If you do the receive side, you can clarify someone in like this. Say they're like 30 hertz off, and when you transmit, you're on 0, 0. So that's how that works. I think it's the best way to use the clarifier, personally. So if somebody's off, you can, you know, you can tune them in wherever you need to, kind of thing. And then when you transmit, it always goes back to 0, 0, unless you want it to do something different. It doesn't really matter where this is. I know some guys, it takes them a while to learn about, you know, a radio like this. They're used to, the clarifier's got to be at 12 o'clock. Well, if you want it to be at 12 o'clock, just do that. Shut the radio off, turn it back on. You really don't ever need to adjust your transmit or anything. I mean, unless somebody wants you to. These are always on frequency, so, you know. And it remembers too, so if you go to a different channel, you know, it'll remember where you were, kind of thing. So it does take a little bit getting used to. It's not like a standard radio with a dial clarifier. I actually like this way better. It's more like a ham radio, but everybody has a preference on that. So we can see now, we'll just keep going up like that. Okay, so that's your band D. There's band A. There's your 12 meter. You know, you can use this and change it wherever you want to. And most guys don't transmit right on the, you know, zeros. I mean, it can be anywhere. So, but there's your 12 meter and band F. There's your rest of your 10 meter right there. So hopefully that clears that up for you. And again, you can change this to the 0 if you want to. I mean, it really doesn't matter. There's the 0. And if you wanted to transmit there, you would just do the same thing. Now you're 28.4 on both. So that's how that works. It was set in there as a default to the 5. So, you know, now it's on the 5 on both. So alright, so let's move on to the service part of the radio. I don't think I'm going to have to do very much, but I will focus on the low power dead key. You know, that's something you were concerned with, so let's set that up, and I'll be back to show you if I can make it happen with that half a watt like you had requested. Alright, so here's your low power. So again, it's about 2.5 watts. We're looking at the 5 watt one here. See, the switch is on that side. The peak is off. So there's the 2.5 watts. So we want to try to make it go here, which is a half watt. So see what I can do here. Should be able to. Yeah, no problem. So you go a little bit lower. I mean, you could take this thing way down if you wanted to, quarter. Basically nothing, I mean, if you really wanted to. So, I know you said half a watt. I'm just going to give you a quarter of a watt, which is here. That way, if you need it, it's there. If not, you can just slightly turn up the power control a little bit. So, that'll give you more flexibility, I guess. So it's just a hair under a quarter. Usually these things will increase ever so slightly anyways, so when they're heated up more. But that's what I'm going to leave you with there. So that'll be fine, I think. Like I say, if you need to, you can just slightly turn it up. It's always easier to have less than more. So I'll go to the, put a 10 back in here now. We'll take a look at the high power, and I'll adjust that back some. I'll probably just leave you at 10 like I do most of them. Switch that over there. There's the 10 there. Now we're looking at the left side. Alright, so we'll get this thing right at, there's 8. So a little before 10, because usually, like I say, they do increase after they've been heated up and transmitted for a while. So I like to go maybe just a touch lower. So there's that. Let's look at FM. FM power low. Switch that back to the 5. So again, it's 2.5 on low. I don't know if you'll ever use FM, but I will take that down for you also. That way you have this same setting on AM and FM. So about right there. And again, you can always adjust the dial, the RF power dial, to get more. So you'll essentially have like 1/4 of a watt to about 40 on FM. So these do pretty good power on FM. So there you go there. And then high power, I need to find a 50. So just grab a 50 really quick. That way, get a more accurate reading than the 100 would show. There's our 50 on the left. Let's see. That's pretty much right on the money. 40, so that's good. Okay. Alright. So now I'm going to look at AM modulation low power. So see how that works out. Now that we have the power level set so low, I really don't know what kind of waveform it's going to give me. Usually on 1 watt it's pretty darn good. Find out here. It may not be enough to make the radio work properly. Oh, the mod's really low, so I'll show you the scope here in a minute. So I'll have to increase it, and hopefully it'll have enough carrier power to give us a satisfactory waveform, but right now it's very low. So there's the scope. It's just a carrier. I'll go to the 2. We're looking at about, let me get this I want to get this to a good level number here. We're looking at about 240 here. So for 100% modulation we should double that. So I'll modulate the radio. So it's really low. So I'm going to see if the radio will allow it to have a good 100% mod at that low of level. So we'll find out here. Yeah, it's starting to work. So that looks pretty good. Let's just see. Yeah, so it does work. Yeah, pretty darn good. So I'm happy with that. So let's see here. So got the 5 back on the right. Peak is on. Got the tone going in, so we're doing about 2 and almost 2.5 watts. So that's what you're getting on with the tone. So you're talking 1/4 of a watt to 2.5 watts. It's pretty good for what we're looking at on such a low dead key. So I'll show you the spectrum analyzer here in a second. Alright. You can see when I first modulate the radio, the peak kind of slams. This has a very sensitive peak, reading set up in this meter. This is actually I like this meter quite a bit more than the Bird 43P. This is a coaxial dynamic. So there's your waveform, and there is the spectrum analyzer right there. And that's 1 channel each way, so you can see how clean it is. Very, very clean. We're on channel 18. Or no, I think we're on channel 20. What are we on here? Let me see. Yeah, we're on channel 20. So that's channel 20. That's 21. That's 195. So you can see how clean it is. It's awesome. So that's your high power or low power modulation. We'll do the high power now. Alright, yep, I know. I need to readjust things here. There we go. And there's your high power modulation, so that's really good too. And here's the scope. And here's the power. So this is a 50. That's just the peak's not on. So you can see on the 50 side it's a little over 10. Let me put the 10 in there on the other side and see. That's why I say sometimes it does increase slightly after the radio's been warmed up and stuff. So yeah, it's right at 10. So that's where you can see where maybe it's just a hair over, but that's why I set it the way I did. If you go to the 50 side, it's showing a little bit more. They're less accurate towards this side, more accurate towards that side, how these elements are. So I'll turn the peak on and we'll modulate this thing. So it's right at about a little over 40, which is good. I may be able to get just a little bit more out of it. So let's see. Yeah, that's pretty good right there. Didn't do a whole lot, but a little bit more. So there's this waveform. So everything looks good. nice and rounded, nice rounded tops, nice rounded negatives, and no pinching in the middle, so that's good. Here's the spectrum analyzer and the scope. So that's your high power. Let's span this out to 60, well, not 600. So there it is. Of course, these radios do have a couple small, but you can see how far down they are. That's your second 54.210, and then that's your 27205. So that's the carrier right there. So looks really good. There's the scope. There's the power on the 50. So that's fine. EM is done. I'll only look at sideband next. So we'll do the high one first, and then we'll look at low, see if I can do anything more with that. Is this high? Yeah, this is low, so we'll do high first. There we go. Alright. So it's not looking too bad. You're doing about 30, 38, 36. Let me see what I can do with this. I like to round that off a little bit more. It really doesn't help us too much. The main thing is you don't want it to look like this. So that's bad when it's flattened off. So this is about right how it was. So yeah, about like that. Should be fine. And that's the spectrum analyzer with the dual tone, so it looks good. And that's your high power. So yeah, that's fine. Really can't improve on that. Here's low power. Well, let's see what we gotta do. And so low power is about 2.5 watts, but it looks good. It's actually more pronounced on low power. So there's your 5-watt scale over there, right here in the middle. See what I can do with that. Just if I can do anything. Actually, that's going to bring me down. Yeah, if I increase any more, you start to flatten the tops, and you don't want that. So, I mean, we're at 3.5 right now, and the tops are getting flat. Let me see if I can show you. I can't zoom out anymore. Here, I can do that though. So. I can probably do that for you. It might get you a little bit more, but like I say, if I go any more, you can see where they flatten right out. That's like how a Galaxy RCI radio come out of the box, a sideband radio, nasty. So that's how it came in. So I can get you to about 3. And that's probably the very extent of that. And again, you can always increase it with the RF power control to get more. But like I say, if I go any more, that's when those tops start to kick out, and it's just not good. So I can get you to 3, so I got you a little bit more on that. Let me look at the FM deviation. Get to the right setting here. Alright, let's see where we at here. Oops. So that would be your low power FM deviation. It looks pretty good. It's nice and wide. You don't want to go too wide though, because then it's gonna, start interfering and not sounding so great. So they do a really good job. These are really designed for FM anyways. Since it's a European rig, it's high quality FM sound. I really like FM anyways. I think it sounds much better than what AM does for close local. So yeah, everything's good. So let's get out of the service part here, and we'll just take a look now. Here we go. Back to standard radio operation. Put the mic on here. And we'll go to a different frequency. Turn the monitor radio up. 1 2 1 2 check check. 1 2 3 4 1 2. Hello radio check check. Okay, so this is your low power sideband now. Let's see what we got with voice. I'm going to assume that it's going to do more than 5 now with voice. So let's just say I put on the 50 side. 1 2 1 2 check check. 1 2 3 4 1 2. Hello hello. Okay, so I could probably put the 10 in. 1 2 1 2 check check. 1 2 3 4 hello hello. 1 2 3 4 check check. So yeah, it's doing 1 2 1 2 3 4 1 2 1 2. It's doing about 4 to 4.5 now, so a little bit better. But 1 2 1 2 1 2 check check. But again, like I say, all you gotta do is touch the dial if you want more. There's halfway. Halfway up, 12 o'clock on the RF. 1 2 1 2 check check. 1 2 1 2. So now you're closer to 20, kind of in the teens there. And if you turn it all the way up, 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 check check check. It's almost 50, somewhere in there. 1 2 3 4 5 check check check. Hello. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 check check. Sounds pretty good even with the factory mic. Here's upper. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 4 check check check. 1 2 1 2 hello. 1 2 1 2 hello. 1 2 1 2 1 2. Okay. It's AM power all the way up. 1 2 1 2 1 2 check check check. 1 2 3 4. So it does probably just a touch more than 50. Hello. 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 5 check check check. Hello. 1 2 1 2. So let's put the 100 in there again. Now we're looking at the bottom, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, it's about 50, I don't know, 54, 55 watts or so. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2, check, check, hello. 1, 1, 2. A little bit of echo. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, check, check, hello. So here's the low power on AM. This is going to be that 1/4 of a watt deal. I really don't know what it's going to do, but we'll see. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, check, check. Well, it's taking out the 10 rather easily. So go back to the 50. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, check, check. Hello. So it's kind of all over the place, but with such a low carrier, unless you're running something to amplify, which I'm sure that's what you said you're going to do, I definitely wouldn't talk on it that low of a dead key. So 1, 2, 1, 2, check, check, check. But we can look at it now on the 5 scale with the peak kit off. There's all the way down. Here's going up. Just 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. My boy came in. So yeah, AM power all the way down. It's about 1/4 of a watt or so, and then all the way up. You know, we can take it to a watt right there. You know, 1.5, 2. You can go wherever you want. 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 10, I believe, or close to 10 anyway. So I just do it with the 50 just because it's, you know, but yeah, you can just keep going. It does show a little bit over 10, but like I say, when I put the 10 in, it's right at 10. So you got about 1/4 of a watt all the way to 10. And the same for FM. On FM, you got like that 1/4 of a watt, and you can go all the way up to 40. So sideband is really low power, like I just showed you, all the way up to, you know, almost 50 when you're talking. So I think it's set up for what you wanted. Maybe, you know, a little lower than what you wanted, but I'd rather it be lower than higher. So that way you can always, you know, turn your RF power up if you need to. So like I say, there's AM again. Right there. You can dial it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth. So if you look at your radio, the SRF is now back on. So, you know, when it's down so low, you don't even show anything. So, like one box starts to light up at about 3/4 of a watt.
What is this?
Where did it come from?
Mama, it's supposed to be smell. It's supposed to smell like something.
I don't know. Take it.
It's weird. What is it?
I don't know. Okay, so about 3/4 of a watt, you get like that one box. Now, of course, I'm talking, the mic's picking up my voice, but two boxes, a little over a 1.5 watt. 3 boxes, about 2.5. 4 boxes, almost 4 or so. And then all the way up is right there. So just keep in mind when it's down really low, it's probably not going to show much. So when I talk, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you know, it's not going to do much for you there. And if you don't like this, and you want it to go back to how you had it, where you want to read the frequency on the display, all you gotta do is go into function, right here, number 21, that's SWR. You can do battery, you can do timeout timer. I'm not sure what that is. Let's take a look at it. 21. Hello, hello, hello. I'm not sure what that one does. It doesn't.
I could borrow this.
Alright.
Yeah. Can you feel air?
Battery, let's see what that does. Yeah, voltage, 13.8 DC. So I'm running off the Astron RS70M. It's right at 13.8. So you can do that. That's all on number 21. Timeout timer. SWR. I'll leave it on SWR. So if you want to change it, you can. You can also re-engage what you had, which is here. Whoop, that's timeout timer. You could turn that one on too if you wanted to. Then it's going to show you, you know, how you want it. So, how you had it, I mean, but I like to run them like this. So, just remember SRF all the way down, it's really low. Doesn't really show you much, and then, you know, all the way up there. So, I think that's everything. Again, that's your transmitted frequency right there. I can show you on sideband the transmitted frequency really quick. Go to lower side. Should be like 27,314. Yep. It's really good. Whoop. Hit the camera. And then upper side right here. 316. Yep. It's really good. And one last thing I can do is check the receive for you, but I'm pretty confident it's going to be good, but we'll just check it out just because it's here. Alright, so here's your receive. So RF gain's all the way up. So now on the radio, I think before it wasn't like this, but now I had to do the software again because I accidentally had the wrong setting where I said single change data. Yeah, I didn't want that. I want it to be universal. So noise blanker A now it's on. So if you go anywhere in the radio, it's on. So if you turn it off, now it's off everywhere. I don't know if you ever want to turn it off or on, but it just makes it easier. Because before, I mean, you could have it on here and off here and on here and off, you know, each one would have its own setting. Now it's off. Same with Roger Beep. It's either on or off. It doesn't matter where in the radio you go. It's off. It's off everywhere. So it just works better that way. And that's the same for like Echo is independent. Of course, if you turn it on, it's on everywhere because it's a hardware dial here. So of course, you know, you can turn it off. It's on and off. But all these buttons, you know, it's now like Roger Beep, noise blanker, and now high cut's the same. If you turn high cut on, it's on everywhere. If you turn it off, it's off everywhere. So just more user friendly that way instead of having to go in and turn it off on every frequency or whatever. If you wanted to turn something on or off, now it's off everywhere. So there's your S9 on AM. We'll do upper side. It's just a little lower on sideband, but we can't really adjust it in this radio, so you know it is what it is there, but it's just a little low. So there it is. Here's lower side. It's right on lower side, so it's right on. So let's check the sensitivity now. For that, I'll just plug in my speaker jack. Okay, so we'll get our volume cell level set. Good. Alright, so I'm going to guess it's about negative 129. That's where they usually all are, so we'll just take a look. So what we'll be looking at here. Whoop. Is 12. So we want to make sure that's reading at 12. So minus 129. Yep. It's moving around ever so slightly, so. Yep. It's about 128.4, which is fine. There it is. So, and then right there, 128.4. That's your lower, upper, upper is exactly the same, 128.4, and right at the 12 mark, right there. So that's good. Do AM now. I'm gonna think AM's about 112, 115, somewhere in there, so 112, yeah, that's where they all come in, about 112, which is fine, it's really good. So there you go. So 30% modulation, negative 112. It's got a good working radio. And it's got all the updates, everything I can do that I think is worthwhile for these. I can listen to it through the speaker jack. The speaker and radio is still very nice and loud. So if you turn on the noise reduction, it does quiet down the receiver some. Some guys like that, some guys don't. I tend to like it. But everybody has their personal preference. Noise blanker, you know, high cut. So everything's working good. So I'll send this to you. You can watch it, and you can let me know what you think. If you got any questions or anything, just feel free to reach back out. But yeah, I think it's everything that I've come to find that is good for these I've done. In the software, I've adjusted it to a proper level on everything. It really wasn't horrible to begin with, but I think it's a little bit better now. Okay, so I'm going to try to give you like a over-the-air demo. So I got a speaker. It's about 4 feet away from me. It's about 4 feet up in the air. I'm just sitting here at the desk off to my right. So this is AM mode. This is the NM532. You can see the volume's way down on it. Mic gain's all the way up on the radio. So we'll take a listen here through the ICOM. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Check, check. So that's our listening through the ICOM there. I'll try to move back away from the radio some if I can. That way I'm not as close to the speaker. So I can turn up the mic gain on the mic a little bit. But we're picking up some feedback, which is kind of hard not to do even with the noise gate on. So that's kind of the over-the-air sound through the ICOM. So there you go on AM. That's the beep. Here's FM. Okay, this is FM right here. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Check, check. 1, 2. That's the NM532 with FM. So lower sideband. So that's lower sideband. 1 2 1 2. Check check. 1 2 3 4. Hello radio. It's right on frequency, so you can see here. 1 2 1 2 3 4. Check check. 1 2 1 2. It's working good. So the difference here, I can show you the stock mic. Stock dynamic mic. This back in dynamic. Turn that off. Here's the dynamic mic. 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 4. Check check. 1 2 3. So it has a different sound to it, more kind of bassier. 1 2 1 2. Let's turn down the monitor radio some. 1 2 1 2. Check check. 1 2 3 4 1 2. Sideband AM. 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 4. AM. 1 2 1 2 3 4. Check check. A little bit of echo. 1 1 2 1 2 3 4. Check check. So that's it. I don't know how these guys can do that stuff without feeding back. Some guys can, but I feel like they're using, like, you know, mics that don't allow any audio to really pass through, like an SRA 198 or something like that. And I mean, you can do that because they don't have any audio. And if I could find mine, I would show you. Let me see if I can find one. Alright, so I got one. I did clip the wire off the jack, off the mic jack of pin number 4. This is the SRA 198, so let's see what it does now for monitor. 1 2 1 2. So yeah, 1 1 2 1 2. So you can see, now you can hear it clear, but the radio, excuse me, it doesn't have much audio response. You can also see it in the meter. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Check check. 1 2. It doesn't hold the peaks very well. 1 2. Hello hello. 1 2 3 4. 1 2. Check check. 1 2. So that's just my take on them. I don't like them. Sideband. Okay, here's sideband. 1 2 1 2. Check check. 1 2 1 2. But it does allow you to not feedback, you know, through the monitor radio, I guess. So for that purpose, it works okay. Hello radio. 1 2. But literally, I don't know. They just don't have as good a sound to me as other mics. I mean, I'm talking with this thing right up to my mouth. Here's the radio without echo. I guess it doesn't do that bad, but you know, it doesn't drive the radio, I guess, to its full potential. But I guess it's okay. You literally, you know, I don't like to eat a microphone, and I know with this mic you literally have to. So that could be part of the reason I just don't like them. But again, that's just my personal preference. 1 2 3 4. Check check. So. It does work, but again, I mean, you got to eat the mic. So, eating the mic, you get somewhat of a sound out of the mic, but as soon as you back away, there's literally nothing. So, 1 2 3 1 2. But there's your over the air, anyways, listening to it through the HF radio, and that's with the SRA 198. Maybe I'll just start doing that on radio since. Everybody else is doing it. You can get more of a sound, but again, it's only the sound that the mic is producing. The radio is going to only interpretate, you know, what the mic gives it. So it is what it is there. But you know, it does okay, I guess, if you got this thing right up to your mouth, literally like eating the microphone. 1 2 1 2. So that's it for you, man. I'll send it to you. You can let me know, and I can ship it back to you tomorrow. So hopefully you like what you see, and we can get this thing back to you. So thanks again, 7-3.